Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412. Hope you're all having a phenomenal week as we head into the July 4th weekend. Pretty straightforward slate here. 7-game slate that we're going to be talking about. The early main slate. I don't know what DraftKings is actually calling it. But I think it's pretty straightforward. Value or salary is not going to be an issue at all. Like the top team on offense is going to be the Chicago White Sox bats facing off against Oakland. Only one of those guys is over 4K price tag. And then no pitchers above 9.5K with a very affordable Cease at 8K. Kind of pumping in value, but even guys like Bradish at 5.8K, super cheap, in a nice strikeout upside spot. So let's just dive right in. This is the sheet that we have here. Wheeler, he's going to be my top pitcher in this high salary tier. We are facing off against Washington. Washington does not strike out a lot. Like, they are a very low strikeout team. We know this by now. But Wheeler, like, he is a workhorse. It doesn't matter, how he's doing on the day. He's going to be going 100 plus pitches. He is facing off against Washington. Like I said, they're a low strikeout team, but he's still going to be able to generate 6, 7, 8 strikeouts in this matchup here, or should be able to. Baseball. That's why we play the games. You never really know. But Wheeler, he's going to go deep into games. He's got, that strikeout floor that we all love, and enjoy. And he's coming in at like a $1,000 discount from where he has been kind of throughout the season at 9.1K. So I do think that Wheeler is going to be your top option in this high salary. Eovaldi and Brown both facing off against each other. Brown's got a brutal matchup going up against Texas, one of the top 3 offenses in baseball. So he's an extreme ground ball pitcher, though, which is definitely nice for DFS, like, really limiting damage against you. But still, I don't really want to be playing any pitchers going up against Texas, especially when you got Wheeler, who's $200 cheaper. Eovaldi on the other side, like, he's fine. He's fine. If you want to pair, Eovaldi and Wheeler, or Eovaldi and Cease, it's fine with me. I'll listen to that argument. He just kind of, his numbers have finally, come back down to earth compared to what he was doing, a month or so ago. So going up against Houston, not the scariest offense. They're kind of a little middle of the pack, a little bit above average. But yeah, so he's fine. He's fine. That's pretty much what I'm going to be saying. If you play him or not. Morton, kind of the same deal. He's okay, like, if you do want to go there, but I'm going to have a whole lot more interest in Wheeler and Cease. But, like, if Wheeler and Cease are just generating, like, massive amounts of traction and massive amounts of ownership, maybe you do fade them just, to kind of have a little bit of a leverage play. But Morton, he's okay if you do want to turn there in GPP. Going up against Miami. Miami actually had the second best record in baseball in June, going 19-10. The second best baseball record behind Atlanta, the team that Morton pitches for, and the team that Yuri Perez, I think one of the most intriguing GPP plays on the slate, is facing off against. Perez has been absolutely dominant in his past handful of starts, only allowing 1 earned run. Great strikeout rate on him, but like I said, he's got a brutal matchup going into Atlanta and facing that Braves offense that has broken the slate a handful of times. So very intriguing GPP play. Just with how bad his matchup is. Corbin Burns, he's a complete fade for me. He's facing off against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh offense is clicking right now. 29 runs scored in the past 4 games, and Burns himself is just not. He's struggling. It's not the Burns of previous years. Like, he's only got 6 strikeouts in his past 2 starts combined. He's got a handful of games so far this season where he's only generated 3 or fewer strikeouts. He's allowing a lot of hard contact. The earned runs are there. So, like, he's pitching better than, the surface numbers state. But still, I don't want to be playing him when you got guys like Cease and Verlander and Wheeler, around him in terms of salary. So he's a fade for me. Verlander been very up and down so far on the season. Kind of decent to toughest matchup going up against San Francisco, who actually does generate a lot of runs. They're just not great for DFS because they pinch hit so much, and Verlander's been very up and down. But he is pitching at home at Citi Field there, where he does much better. So I'm going to have a lot more interest in Verlander here than I would be if he was on the road. But still, Cease, he's going to be dominating the mid-tier at only 8K. Target talked about Perez. Gore and Ober, Gore, I think, is really intriguing. Gore's got like that. He has like a strikeout upside. He's got that ceiling. Like, we have seen Gore hit double-digit strikeouts a couple of times already this season. He's hit 7, 8, 9 strikeouts a couple of times so far this season as well. And he's facing off against Philadelphia, who is the highest strikeout team against left-handed pitching over the past 2 months. So some nice data, like a nice lengthy 60-day stretch of data, kind of backs it all up. So I do think that Gore could be a very intriguing GPP play if you do want to go that route. Bradish is kind of like the same deal. Bradish, except he's like even way cheaper. But Bradish is going up against Minnesota, who's also the number one strikeout team against right-handed pitching over the past 2 months, and actually over the course of the entire season. And we have seen Bradish, much like Gore, hit that double-digit strikeout ceiling before. We've also seen him hit 7, 8, 9 strikeouts over the course of the season, but we've also seen some duds. So that's kind of why he's got that 5.8 salary price tag, but I do think that he's going to get some ownership, especially in GPP, if you do want some of that upside. So I do like Bradish, Oviedo, Discofani, and not too much of an interest. I do think that there's a big gap right here. So Wheeler, Cease, Bradish, love them all. I think they're going to be great spots. Gore, Perez, I think, are my favorite GPP plays on this entire slate. And then Verlander, he's fine, but it's a flip of a coin. Which Verlander are you going to get showing up? Going into the bats, the White Sox going up against Oakland, going up against Mueller, who's just allowing 5 earned runs every single start, it seems. And then they get the Oakland bullpen. Going to have a lot of interest in the White Sox. Vaughn, Robert Jimenez, that's where I'm going to be starting my stack. Vaughn, you can see 3.1K is very affordable. And then, as you can see, like 4.2K remaining for the rest of your bats. You're not going to be fighting any salary issues at all. Baltimore, Texas right behind there. I did put Texas a little bit down. I did talk about how Bradish is, Brown is a very extreme ground ball pitcher, so it kind of limits my interest in the Texas bats a little bit in that regard. Baltimore, I do have them here. There's just not a lot of bats that I like on this slate. I'm not gonna say Baltimore's the second best team on the slate in terms of bats, and I'm super excited about them. I'm not. I'm really not. It's the White Sox, and then it's a big gap and kind of everybody else. But going up against Ober, who we have seen, struggle at times so far this season. And the Baltimore offense, I do like them, but just pay attention to the weather, pay attention to the rain. That is a little bit concerning if you do go that route. Over into the GPP, Atlanta, I think, is the most intriguing. Just how I think, Paris is the most intriguing, GPP play in pitching. I think Atlanta could be the most intriguing GPP play in bats. We stacked them here at FSi actually last night as the GPP core, and, well, if you follow baseball, you know that went really well. So we're going to go dive back into the well here with Atlanta's top GPP slate, top GPP play. They're very expensive, but salary's not going to be too much of an issue, so I think it's going to be a little bit easier to fit them in and jam them in. But they're still going up against a pitcher who has allowed 1 earned run in his past 5 starts. But Atlanta, like we said, this team can break the slate any single night. So I do think that they're a very intriguing GPP play. Philadelphia, kind of the same deal. They can, launch the ball, they can break a slate, they can hit home runs, do all that kind of stuff. But they do strike out a lot, which is definitely a downside to them. And a team that, it's tough. It's tough. Cheap tier, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Both are fine. Pittsburgh, I think, actually could be another very intriguing GPP play going up against Burns, just with how hot the Pittsburgh offense has been and with how poor Burns has been playing. But yeah, so this is kind of just where everything shakes out. I'm not super thrilled with the bats just because I think there's a lot of very intriguing cheap pitching plays. But Wheeler Cease definitely going to be the front runners there. But again, there's nobody that I would fade up here outside of Burns and down here outside of Mueller. I really could make a case for every single other pitcher on the entire slate. So that's kind of where things shake out. So again, thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Good luck in your contests. And no videos on Sunday, so we'll see you back on Monday.